Every single day there is a voice inside your head, a tiny, weak, cowardly whisper that tells you you can't, you're not enough, wait for the right time. That voice, my friend, is the enemy of your greatness. It's the voice that keeps dreams buried under excuses, fear, and self-doubt. And let me tell you something very clearly. That voice is lying to you. You were not born to sit in the shadows of your potential. You were not born to accept just enough as your life standard. Deep inside you is a fire, a power, a strength that is itching to break free. But that weak voice, it's trying to smother it with every negative thought, every hesitation, every excuse you've ever made. Here's the truth. No one else is holding you back. It's not your boss. It's not your circumstances. It's not your past. The only thing standing between you and the life you've always wanted is that whisper inside you that says, I can't. And you, my friend, have the power to crush it. Crushing that voice is not about waiting until you feel ready. It's not about finding the perfect moment. It's about taking massive action right now with the energy you already have. Action is the antidote to fear. Action is the weapon that destroys doubt. Every time you take a step forward, that weak voice gets smaller. Every time you choose courage over comfort, that weak voice gets weaker. I want you to hear me clearly. The weak voice inside you is addicted to comfort. It thrives when you settle. It loves it when you make excuses. And here's the brutal truth. You will never silence it by thinking more. You will silence it by doing more, by committing more, by stepping into the life you deserve, one bold step at a time. Imagine for a moment what life would look like if that voice had no power over you. Imagine waking up every morning with certainty, with confidence, with the fire to chase what you really want. Imagine crushing fear so hard that it becomes nothing more than a memory. That life is possible, and it starts when you refuse to listen to the weak voice even for one more second. You are stronger than you know. You are more capable than you believe. You have survived every challenge, every failure, every moment you thought you couldn't go on. And you are still here. That alone is proof that you can do more, be more, achieve more. The weak voice inside you does not define you. Your actions define you. Your courage defines you. Your decisions define you. So today I challenge you. The next time that voice whispers you can't, roar back with action. Do something that scares you. Push yourself beyond comfort. Commit to your growth in a way that makes that voice tremble. Let every step you take toward your dreams be a hammer striking that weak voice into silence. Your life is waiting for the sound of your roar. Don't whisper back. Don't hesitate. Crush the weak voice inside you and step fully into the person you were born to become. Every single person has a voice inside their head, and it is not always your ally. This voice is quiet, subtle, and often convincing, but make no mistake, it is the voice that will keep you small, that will whisper doubt and fear when you need confidence and courage the most. This voice shows up in every area of life, whether it's in your career, your relationships, your health, or your dreams. It doesn't scream, it whispers, but it whispers enough to slow you down, to make you hesitate, to make you question yourself when action is exactly what you need. Recognizing this voice is the first step in taking back control of your life, because you cannot fight something you cannot see. Many people spend their entire lives reacting to the weak voice without even realizing it. They think they are making decisions based on logic, strategy, or circumstance, but in reality, they are being guided by fear and insecurity that masquerade as advice. This weak voice feeds on uncertainty, and it grows stronger when you listen to it without question. It thrives on moments when you doubt yourself, when you replay past failures, or when you allow hesitation to dictate your actions. Recognizing it means learning to hear it for what it really is, a fear-driven pattern of thinking that does not serve your highest potential. This voice often uses subtle tactics. It will tell you that you are not ready, that you need more time, that you are not strong enough, smart enough, or capable enough to achieve what you want. It will convince you that the perfect moment will come if you wait, and yet that perfect moment never comes because life does not reward waiting. It rewards those who move forward despite uncertainty, despite fear, despite the whispers of self-doubt that try to hold them back. The weak voice is a survival mechanism that was never meant to define your destiny. It was meant to keep you safe from risk, from discomfort, from challenge, and from failure. But safety is not the same as growth. Growth requires discomfort, risk, challenge, and even failure, because without them, your potential remains untapped, your dreams remain unrealized, and your strength remains dormant. Recognizing the weak voice is understanding that it does not have authority over your choices. It does not define your value. It is a story you have been telling yourself, a habit you have repeated for so long that you believe it is truth, when in reality it is nothing more than fear dressed up as reason. The weak voice can be sneaky, because it sometimes disguises itself as caution or wisdom. It may present itself as careful planning, prudent decision, making, or rational thought. It may say things like, "You should wait," or "This might not work out," or "Maybe it's too risky." And if you don't recognize it, you follow it blindly, thinking you are being smart, when actually you are being controlled by hesitation. Recognizing it means learning the difference between legitimate caution and fear-driven hesitation. It means asking yourself whether this voice is guiding you towards solutions, or whether it is keeping you stuck in the comfort zone that feels safe but ultimately leads to mediocrity. It means understanding that the voice that says you can't is not reality. It is perception clouded by doubt, anxiety, and limiting beliefs. Every time you listen to this voice without questioning it, you reinforce its power. Every time you pause or second, guess yourself because of it, you give it control over your actions, your decisions, and your outcomes. To recognize the weak voice is also to recognize the patterns it uses. It thrives in uncertainty, so it appears whenever you face something new or challenging. It thrives on comparison, so it appears when you measure yourself against others. It thrives on fear of failure, so it appears when the stakes are high, when opportunities are in front of you, when you are on the edge of breakthrough, and when your potential is calling you to move forward. Understanding this pattern allows you to anticipate its whispers and prepare your response. It allows you to separate truth from fiction, courage from fear, action from hesitation. Recognizing the weak voice is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong practice. It requires vigilance, awareness, and the willingness to confront the thoughts that try to sabotage you. It requires honesty with yourself, courage to see the lies you have been telling yourself, and commitment to rewrite the narrative that has kept you small. Every great achievement starts with awareness. Awareness of the obstacles, awareness of the limitations, and above all, awareness of the voice inside that says you cannot, you should not, or you are not enough. That awareness is the spark that allows you to take control. It is the moment when you stop reacting to fear and start responding with intention. Recognizing the weak voice is about seeing it clearly, naming it for what it is, and refusing to let it dictate your life. Once you recognize it, you can begin the process of dismantling it, replacing it with a stronger voice that encourages, pushes, and motivates you to take action. It is the first step toward reclaiming your power, toward stepping into the life you were meant to live, toward achieving what others only dream of because they never learn to see the weak voice for what it truly is. Action is the most powerful weapon you have against fear, doubt, and the weak voice inside your head. Thinking, planning, worrying, or waiting will never bring you the life you want. Every moment you spend hesitating, the weak voice grows stronger, planting seeds of doubt, spinning scenarios of failure, and convincing you that it's safer to wait than to act. The truth is, safety does not lead to greatness. Action leads to transformation. The moment you decide to act even imperfectly, you break the cycle of hesitation. You send a signal to yourself that your dreams, your goals, and your potential are more important than the fear that whispers, "Not now, maybe later, you're not ready." Immediate action is the antidote to hesitation, the cure for doubt, and the first step in silencing the weak voice that thrives on your inaction. When you take immediate action, you create momentum. Momentum is energy in motion, and energy in motion is unstoppable. Every small step you take compounds into larger steps, and those larger steps eventually create breakthroughs you never imagined were possible. The weak voice tries to convince you that the first step must be perfect, that the plan must be flawless, that the timing must be exact, but those are lies designed to keep you stuck. Action does not require perfection. Action requires courage, commitment, and willingness to move forward despite uncertainty. When you act, you learn. When you act, you grow. When you act, you prove to yourself that you are capable, strong, and ready for more. Every action weakens the voice that says you can't, because it is replaced with the undeniable proof of what you have accomplished, no matter how small or imperfect. The world is full of people who have amazing ideas but never execute them. They have dreams, visions, and goals, but they wait for the right moment, the perfect plan, or the ideal circumstances. And the weak voice inside them celebrates their hesitation, whispering, "See, you knew it wasn't the right time." But the truth is, the right moment never comes on its own. The right moment is created by people who act. The weak voice wants you to stay safe, to stay comfortable, to stay in a place where nothing risks being lost, but also nothing can ever be gained. Action is the only way to move from a place of potential to a place of reality. Action bridges the gap between dreams and results, between thinking and doing, between fear and courage. Immediate action also rewires your mind. The more you act, the more you prove to yourself that fear and hesitation are not permanent states. Action becomes a habit, and habits define who you are. When you repeatedly choose action over fear, over procrastination, over self-doubt, you create a new default setting for your life. You begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. You begin to trust yourself instead of the weak voice. You begin to understand that progress, no matter how small, is always better than waiting, doubting, and doing nothing. Every single time you choose to act, you are sending a powerful message to yourself. I am not controlled by fear. I am the author of my life. I am unstoppable. Action also builds confidence. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you create through repeated action. Each step you take proves to you that you can handle more than you thought. Each small victory builds courage, and each courageous act silences the weak voice just a little more. Over time, confidence grows to the point where the voice that once held you back becomes faint, almost laughable, because your reality is now defined by what you do, not by what you fear. Action turns intentions into results, ideas into reality, and dreams into measurable progress. Without action, all the knowledge, the strategy, the planning in the world is useless. Without action, you are simply a spectator in your own life, watching the weak voice celebrate your hesitation while your potential sits dormant. Taking immediate action also teaches you resilience. You will make mistakes. You will stumble. You will face challenges you didn't anticipate, and that is exactly why action is so transformative. The weak voice thrives on fear of failure, but action transforms failure into learning, obstacles into opportunities, and doubt into strength. The more you act, the more you understand that setbacks are temporary, that challenges are part of growth, and that the weak voice is powerless against the proof of your own relentless progress. Action creates clarity. It illuminates the path forward, reveals what works and what doesn't, and sharpens your ability to make better decisions. Action turns uncertainty into experience, hesitation into mastery, and fear into unstoppable momentum. Comfort is one of the greatest enemies of progress, and yet it is so seductive. It whispers to you that it is safer to stay where you are, that it is easier to stick to what you know, that risk and challenge are unnecessary. Comfort makes you cozy, complacent, and stagnant, but it does not bring growth, success, or fulfillment. Every dream, every goal, every extraordinary achievement in history has been born on the other side of discomfort, on the edge of fear, in the moments when people chose courage over ease. Rejecting comfort is the first step toward embracing the life you are capable of creating. It is a decision to stop hiding behind excuses, to stop shrinking yourself to fit into what feels safe, and to start living with intention, power, and relentless determination. Comfort will try to trap you in routines that feel harmless but ultimately limit your potential. It will tell you that what you are doing is enough, that you don't need more, that you should be satisfied with what is familiar. But familiarity is the cage that keeps your potential locked away, and courage is the key that opens the door. Embracing courage does not mean you will not feel fear. In fact, courage and fear go hand in hand. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite fear. Every person who has achieved something remarkable has felt fear, doubt, and uncertainty. The difference is that they refused to let those feelings control them. They took action even when it was uncomfortable, even when it was risky, and even when the weak voice inside their head screamed, "Stop, stay safe, don't do it." Courage is the muscle you develop through repeated action. Every time you step out of comfort and into challenge, that muscle grows stronger. Every time you choose discomfort over ease, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. And the weak voice that once whispered doubt becomes smaller and less convincing with every courageous choice you make. Rejecting comfort also means rejecting the trap of procrastination. Procrastination is the companion of comfort, the excuse that makes fear look rational. It tells you that tomorrow is a better day, that next week you'll be ready, that eventually the conditions will be perfect. The truth is, they will never be perfect. The life you desire, the goals you dream of, the potential inside you will not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is created when you act with courage, not when you wait for it. Courage is a decision, a commitment to take action even when the outcome is uncertain, even when you are afraid, even when your mind is screaming that it is too risky. Courage moves you from a place of hesitation to a place of unstoppable momentum. Every bold choice you make erodes the power of the weak voice inside you, and every time you choose comfort, that voice regains strength. The greatest achievers in life understand that comfort is a trap disguised as safety. They understand that progress and transformation are only possible when they are willing to embrace discomfort. Growth requires challenge, struggle, and sometimes failure. It requires putting yourself in situations that test your limits, that push you beyond what you thought was possible, and that demand courage when every fiber of your being wants to retreat. Rejecting comfort is a daily practice, a conscious choice to live on the edge of your potential rather than within the confines of familiarity. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and a refusal to settle for mediocrity. Every time you choose courage, you strengthen your capacity to handle greater challenges, pursue bigger goals, and achieve more than you ever imagined. Courage is not a single act, it is a lifestyle. It is waking up each day with the willingness to face fear, uncertainty, and resistance. It is choosing to move forward when others hesitate, to take risks when others play it safe, and to keep pushing even when the weak voice tells you to stop. Embracing courage means being honest with yourself about where comfort has held you back, where fear has controlled your decisions, and where hesitation has cost you opportunities. It means taking ownership of your life and refusing to allow circumstances, people, or your own mind to limit what you can achieve. Every courageous decision is a strike against mediocrity and a declaration that you are committed to becoming the person you were meant to be. Rejecting comfort also opens the door to extraordinary experiences. When you embrace courage, you step into situations that expand your mind, test your limits, and force you to grow in ways that comfort never could. Fear becomes a guide rather than a barrier, showing you exactly where you need to push yourself the most. Courage transforms obstacles into opportunities, challenges into lessons, and setbacks into fuel for growth. The more you choose courage over comfort, the more your confidence grows, your strength expands, and your potential becomes undeniable. Every moment spent choosing courage is a moment where the weak voice loses its power, and your life moves closer to the extraordinary potential that has always been inside you. Every victory you have ever achieved, no matter how small it may seem, is proof of your strength, resilience, and potential. Too often, people forget the battles they have already won and allow the weak voice inside them to convince them that they cannot succeed again. They forget that they have overcome fear, doubt, challenges, and setbacks before, and they allow those past victories to fade into memory. Your past wins are not just moments in time. They are evidence that you are capable, that you have the ability to push through adversity, and that you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. Every obstacle you have faced, every difficulty you have overcome, every challenge you have endured is a testament to your courage, your persistence, and your resourcefulness. Recognizing and using these past wins as proof is one of the most powerful tools you have to silence the weak voice that tells you you can't do it. Because the truth is, you already have. When you reflect on your past achievements, you see patterns of strength that you may have overlooked. You see the moments when fear tried to stop you, but you acted anyway. You see the times when doubt threatened to overwhelm you, but you pushed through. You see the situations where circumstances were against you, yet you found a way. Every one of these experiences is proof that you have what it takes to handle challenges, to rise above limitations, and to succeed despite the odds. The weak voice wants you to ignore these victories, to focus only on what hasn't worked or on what might fail, because it thrives on doubt and insecurity. But when you look at your past wins and remember the way you overcame, you create undeniable evidence that fear and hesitation are temporary, that setbacks are temporary, and that success is within your reach. Your past wins also build confidence in a way that nothing else can. Confidence is not built from wishing, hoping, or waiting. It is built from experience. Every time you achieve something, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. Confidence comes from knowing that you have done difficult things before, and that the same strength, resilience, and resourcefulness exist inside you today. The weak voice cannot argue with evidence. It cannot argue with the proof of your own history of success. It may still try to whisper doubts, but when you remember your victories, those whispers grow faint and powerless. Using your past wins as proof is a mental strategy, a way to remind yourself that you have already faced challenges and come out stronger, and that whatever obstacle stands before you now is something you are fully capable of overcoming. Sometimes the weak voice convinces you that your past achievements were luck, coincidence, or exceptions. It tries to minimize your accomplishments and make you doubt your abilities. But the truth is that every victory was earned. Every success was the result of your effort, determination, and courage. You were the one who showed up when others didn't, the one who refused to quit, the one who stayed committed when the path was hard. Every past win is a blueprint for future success because it demonstrates the habits, mindset, and actions that produce results. When you remind yourself of what you have already accomplished, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of doing it again, bigger and better, because the same skills, strength, and courage that led to previous success still exist within you. Using past wins as proof also helps you reframe challenges as opportunities. When faced with fear, doubt, or uncertainty, recalling your past victories reminds you that challenges are not permanent barriers, but stepping stones to growth and achievement. You begin to see that difficulty is not a signal to stop, but a signal to apply the same strategies, discipline, and courage that allowed you to succeed before. Every time you use past wins as proof, you shift your focus from limitation to possibility, from hesitation to action, from fear to confidence. You take control of your narrative, refusing to let the weak voice dictate your story or diminish your potential. Reflecting on your past achievements also instills a sense of gratitude and perspective. It reminds you that you have survived hardships, learned lessons, and grown stronger through experience. The weak voice thrives on negativity and self-pity, but when you remember what you have already overcome, you gain clarity and motivation. You realize that you have faced situations that felt impossible at the time, and yet you succeeded. That realization empowers you to face your current challenges with a level of confidence and determination that the weak voice cannot compete with. Every success you have achieved, no matter how large or small, is a testament to your ability to persevere, to adapt, and to conquer whatever lies ahead. When you use your past wins as proof, you are arming yourself with undeniable evidence that you are capable of more than you think. You are reminding yourself that you have already done difficult things and that you can do them again. You are transforming fear and doubt into confidence and determination, and you are weakening the weak voice that has tried to hold you back. Your past is not just a memory. It is your ammunition, your proof, your reminder that you are strong, capable, and unstoppable. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal, a message from your body and mind that something important is at stake. The weak voice inside you tries to convince you that fear is a reason to stop, to hesitate, to retreat, but the truth is, fear is one of the most powerful tools you can use to propel yourself forward. Fear shows up because you care about the outcome, because you recognize the importance of your actions, because the stakes are high. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary results and those who settle for mediocrity is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to use that fear as fuel. Fear becomes energy, focus, and motivation when you refuse to let it paralyze you and instead channel it into action, determination, and relentless pursuit of your goals. The first step in turning fear into fuel is to recognize it for what it is. Fear is not a prophecy of failure. It is a warning signal that your potential is being challenged. It is your body preparing you for action, your mind sharpening your focus, your spirit telling you that this moment matters. The weak voice thrives on fear because it uses it to create excuses, hesitation, and doubt. But when you see fear clearly, you realize that it is not a stop sign. Fear is a compass pointing you toward growth, a signal that the next step is meaningful, and that your comfort zone is not enough to achieve what you desire. The more you embrace this perspective, the more fear transforms from an obstacle into a driving force, something that empowers you rather than limits you. Fear is energy, and energy is neutral until you decide how to use it. You can allow it to immobilize you, or you can redirect it into action. Every time you feel your heart racing, your stomach tightening, or your mind questioning, you have a choice. Surrender to hesitation, or channel that energy into focus, preparation, and bold action. The great achievers in history do not lack fear, they use it. They convert anxiety into clarity, doubt into strategy, and hesitation into unstoppable momentum. Each time you step forward despite fear, you strengthen your ability to act under pressure. You prove to yourself that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Fear is fuel, and fuel powers movement, progress, and transformation. Turning fear into fuel also requires a mindset shift. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I succeed?" Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, focus on what could go right. Every challenge carries opportunity, every risk carries potential reward, and every moment of fear is an invitation to rise. The weak voice wants you to fixate on danger, limitation, and impossibility. But when you change your focus, fear becomes an ally rather than an enemy. You begin to see fear as a signal that you are alive, engaged, and pushing boundaries. You start to understand that growth is uncomfortable, that progress is challenging, and that success is impossible without fear. Once you embrace this, fear ceases to control you and begins to power you. Fear also sharpens your instincts, intuition, and decision making. When you are afraid, your senses heighten, your focus intensifies, and your mind searches for solutions more aggressively. The weak voice tries to convince you that fear means danger, but often fear is just a signal that you are on the edge of something important. When you act in the presence of fear, you develop resilience, creativity, and resourcefulness. You learn to navigate uncertainty, solve problems under pressure, and maintain clarity in the midst of chaos. Each time you transform fear into fuel, you increase your capacity to handle bigger challenges and pursue bolder goals. Every fear you face is a chance to prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. Every moment of hesitation transformed into action is evidence that the weak voice is not in control. Fear pushes you out of comfort, forces you to grow, and drives you to take steps that lead to extraordinary results. The more you harness fear, the more unstoppable you become, because you are no longer controlled by the emotion itself, but by your response to it. Fear is energy, power, and momentum waiting to be tapped. The weak voice wants you to shrink, to stay small, to settle. But when you convert fear into fuel, you become larger than your doubts, stronger than your hesitation, and bolder than your limitation. Fear is a reminder that you care deeply, that the stakes are real, and that your potential is calling. The choice is yours. You can let fear freeze you, or you can let it drive you. You can let the weak voice dominate your mind, or you can harness the energy of fear to fuel relentless action. Every step you take despite fear is a victory, a declaration that courage is more powerful than doubt, and a reminder that the life you desire is on the other side of discomfort. When you turn fear into fuel, you unlock a level of power, confidence, and momentum that transforms not only what you do, but who you become.